Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on zone skipping, optimizing your supply chain for maximum efficiency. My name is Noor, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for this insightful session. Today, we have the pleasure of hosting Matt Paulaitis, a renowned expert in supply chain optimization and logistics. With over 7 years of consulting experience, Matt has a wealth of knowledge and practical insights to share with us. He is the author of multiple white paper publications within transportation management and has been instrumental in helping numerous organizations streamline their logistics operations. In this webinar, Matt will dive deep into the concept of parcel direct shipment options versus zone skipping within SAP Transportation Management. Utilizing SAP Transportation Management, Matt will show how businesses can significantly reduce shipping costs and improve delivery times. Whether you're new to the concept or looking to refine your current practices, this session promises to equip you with valuable strategies and actionable tips. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Matt Paulaitis. Hi, Matt, and thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks, Noor, for the introduction. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Matt Paulaitis, and welcome to the webinar. We're going to be discussing zone skipping versus direct shipment options. This is going to be a virtual webinar, meaning that you'll be able to ask questions and we'll send the recording out after we're done here so you can review this. Feel free to reach out to me as well if you have any questions about the digital supply chain or SAP Transportation Management specifically, and I can help you and start a conversation about some of the issues you're facing to potentially resolve those using SAP, either systems, solutions, or specifically transportation management. So even though I am a transportation pre-sales lead and consultant, we also do the whole digital supply chain, so be sure to reach out with any questions you may have. You will not have the ability to speak, unfortunately, within this webinar, but you will be able to ask questions via the chat, so feel free to shoot them off, and at the end, Noor and I will see what questions there are and go through them. Again, my name is Matt Paulaitis, or Matthew, depending on what you prefer. I really don't mind. I am a transportation management consultant as well as a pre-sales lead for Westernacher. I've been with this company for about 3 years, but I've been consulting, like Noor said, for about 7 now, almost 8. And I'm excited to show today the capabilities of SAP's transportation management. A little bit of background about who we are as a company. The company's name is Westernacher. We are founded in Germany alongside of SAP. We're right down the block, literally neighbors down the block growing up. We've been in the business for about 55 years, and we've been a gold partner with SAP for 30. So we get certifications with all of our consultants and keep them up to date. So we are up to date with what SAP is doing and innovating. We also have done over 1,000 implementations worldwide. We are a global company, and we have over 1,000 experts globally as well. We've implemented the first, to our knowledge, EWM, YL, and TM project, S4 project within the States. So we are pioneers and leaders in the digital supply chain within the United States for S4HANA. We also have very close relationships to the business product owners at SAP. So we definitely talk to them about client concerns, any sort of questions about development, and make sure that we're up to date with those sort of innovations that SAP is doing and know the roadmap so we can explain it to clients and help them out with any sort of issues that they are facing. So that's just a little bit about us, what we do, and as a third-party implementer, we usually stay up to date with all of the latest and greatest, and one of those latest to greatest things that we want to share with you today is zone skipping and direct shipment options through the optimizer with transportation management. So a lot of people aren't actually aware, but transportation management within SAP can handle parcel. So that's something that actually surprises quite a few people, is that parcel is something that can be handled within SAP TM. For just definition knowledge, whenever I say TM, it's always going to just mean transportation management. And whenever I say DSO, it's going to mean direct shipment option. So as you see in this workflow, a direct shipment option is just taking a parcel and using a parcel carrier to the end customer. When would you do this? Maybe if you're sending one item to one customer and you have no goods going that direction anyway. When would you use zone skipping? Well, this is an example of you have a plethora of parcel items. Let's just say you have 200 parcel items going around the Chicago area that you need to send to various customers. Well, if you're already sending product there too, you can basically consolidate all of those parcel items and product to a consolidation center and then use an LTL to deliver to the end customer, reducing costs instead of sending each individual item, each one of those 200 items, via parcel individually. So this saves the business money by doing this consolidation and using their own carrier or your own trucks to get those goods from A to the B consolidation center and then C eventually to the end customer. And we'll show this within the demo system. Main benefits. So there are 4 main benefits that I called out, but you could think of plenty of more as we go through this demonstration. This could save parcel heavy businesses thousands of dollars. That's one of the key benefits is the consolidation feature. Instead of sending a parcel for $6, $8, $10, $35, whatever it may be, depending on the weight and size, you can consolidate all of those items and ship them to that consolidation center using a FTL truck that you own or that you can, carrier contract out for cheaper and then eventually get it to the end customer, saving you money. And we'll show that calculation within the system. You can also leverage a parcel aggregator to basically pull real-time pricing. So from UPS, USPS, well, it would more so be UPS and FedEx comparison to see what the rates are at that given time and see what the service levels are for those given times, and then do the comparison and make real-time decisions in order to save costs as well. You're also able to let the system make the decision to consolidate or directly ship those parcel goods for you with automated rules instead of you having to make the decision by yourself. It would take all those calculations, and if you say we just want the cheapest option, then go ahead and calculate this for me. The optimizer will do that within the system. The system will also continue to look for consolidation opportunities. So this is actually a really big one. So what happens is if you say, hey, we want to directly ship this good, what happens is it basically pre-plans it saying that, yes, we're going to directly ship this. But if throughout the day more orders come in and says that order that we had pre-planned to ship can actually now be consolidated with all these other orders and save us money, the system's smart enough to know that and take it from this directly shipment option to switching it over and consolidating it into a unified FTL with the other packages and sending it off and knowing to do that calculation without any manual intervention. So that's a huge benefit of this as well. So now we're going to get into the actual demo. I'm going to be approaching this as if you have never seen transportation management before. However, to keep this relatively short and sweet within the time that we have allotted, I will have to skip over a lot of functionality, great functionality that we have within the system. So if you'd like to see a more in-depth, precise breakdown of transportation management and what we have to offer within SAP's transportation management to help solve your issues, please reach out to me directly and I will be more than happy to do a more in-depth demo with specific scenarios depending on what your business issues are and what your needs are. So as I go into the system, you'll notice that we have a bunch of these what look like to be tiles. What you're seeing right now is what we call Fiori. This is the user interface for SAP. And as you can see, there are a bunch of tabs at the top and many tiles. This would not actually look like how your homepage would look like. Because I'm a pre-sales lead and I do demos all the time, I have many more tiles than are needed for anyone to do their day-to-day job in real life because I'm doing the build, I'm doing various yard and warehousing activities as well to show examples. In this scenario, all that we're going to need from all of these tiles is this transportation cockpit tile. When I click into this, it's going to give us more in-depth information to do our transportation management planning. So as a transportation manager, we would usually have everything set up via automation, but there are going to be a couple of things that you might need to manage by exception. To manage by exception, you would enter this transportation cockpit. Think of all these tiles as an application on your phone where you open it and there's more information for you to do a task. Think of all these tabs at the top as just part of your supply chain process, getting the order from A all the way to Z. So you can see the planning and execution, monitoring, Internet of Things, master data, all of the settings that are needed to get the order and configuration within the system from A to Z. So again, I'll click into this transportation cockpit, and don't let the amount of information scare you. I'll break this down very easily for everyone. We're going to break it up into sectors. First thing I want to describe before you see this is that we have a change profile selection, and I'm going to change this to our scenario that we have here, which is the direct shipment option. What is that actually doing? So when I click this bottom, you can see that I, as a demoer, I demo quite a bit. I have plenty of scenarios that we have here. And really what those scenarios are is just taking the orders that we have in the system and kind of dividing them up so that we're able to see the orders that we want to see depending on the job that we want, right? So the job that we want to do, or department, for example. In this case, I'm only seeing the parcel orders that are coming into our system. This is a demo system again, so everything is not perfect master data wise compared to what it would be in your system, and plenty of hands have been in this demo system, but these are the orders that we have crisped up and made perfect to go for the demo being parcel. As you can see, there are currently 134 parcel orders. If I scroll down, you can see that these all are unplanned, and I know that because if I hover over this indicator, it shows a circle showing unplanned. You can see the loading location is a vendor. It looks like vendor 2. And then the end location just being a production plant. It looks like in Florida. You can see that we have an original order of 188. And if I show you these 5 right here, it's one order that created 5 different parcel, what we call freight units, or basically the smallest plannable unit that you can plan, orders, right? So there's 5 orders here that we have. And what we're going to do is essentially take these 5 orders and use the optimizer to try to plan them. The optimizer basically runs different sort of resources that we have. So as you can see, we have an FTL and an LTL. It compares any incompatibilities, any customer rules with opening and closing times. It has the optimization of the distance calculation. It has any sort of dangerous good information. And I think I said incompatibilities again, but that one's pretty important, as well as any weight information regarding the resources that we have. So this is also tracking the resources. It takes all of that information, it takes the order information, and it says, how can I best optimize this to get from A to B with all the restraints, with all the rules that we have in the system most efficiently? So what are we trying to show today? We have these 5 orders that I mentioned that are parcel. If I go ahead and optimize this planning, what you're going to see is that it directly ships. And how we'll indicate that is by having this planning indicator here turn into a half moon. And what that's saying is essentially that this was a directly shipped order. So that means that we're sending it via parcel, whatever it may be, FedEx, UPS, whatever the rate was more beneficial to our company for, we went with. And you can see that that half indicator is saying that we are planned with direct shipment option. How does the system know this? I'm going to actually refresh this, hit OK, and show you what a transportation proposal is. So when I click on this item, this is kind of the back-end system logic of how the calculation is going through the system's perspective and saying, yep, this is the cheapest option, so we're going to go with this direct shipment option. As you can see here, there are 2 transportation proposals that have been generated. You can see that one is just a direct shipment option, stage 1, going from the vendor to the end customer, and it's costing us $6,000. for demo purposes, we hyped up these numbers. We made them much more exponential than it would be in real life for demo purposes, but realistically, it would not cost you $6,000 to send one thing via parcel, right? So for the purposes of this demonstration, we show that the parcel directly to ship is $6,000 for one, and to ship this to the consolidation center before sending it to the end customer is actually $2,000 more. So the system does the logic and says, yep, the rules were set to have the cheapest cost. We're directly shipping this. So that is what the system is saying. Now I'm going to select two parcels, right? And we're going to optimize this planning. Now what's going to happen because we selected two orders is the system's going to do the same calculation and same logic to see if it's still beneficial to directly ship each one of them separately, or if it's more beneficial to consolidate and send to the consolidation center to now send to the end customer. And you can see that these have now been planned because in this case, it's cheaper to send to this consolidation center and then from the consolidation center to the end customer. How do we know that? Again, let me refresh and cancel this and show the transportation proposals, the logic in the back end of why exactly this works. So according to our transportation proposals, now selecting two orders instead of one, we'll take a look here and we'll see that the proposals now, there's going to be more proposals than two because there's more options with two orders than one of how we can get to A to B. Now we're going to look at the cheapest option here. At the top, you can see that the charges were calculated, and this can again be pulled in from a parcel aggregator. You can leverage an aggregator to give you the updated pricing with the service levels. But right here, you can see that the cheapest option is $9,000 versus right here, directly shipping each one for $6,000. So it would cost us $12,000 to directly ship each one of those two orders individually, separately. It would cost us $12,000 together, but instead it's actually cheaper to take it to the consolidation center than from the consolidation center use an LTL to take it to the end customer because we're doing that consolidation. Again, these numbers have been just set as an example for demo purposes. They definitely wouldn't be $9,000 to ship two parcel items, but to get the point across, we set this up within our demo system to show that. So because we have two items and it's cheaper to consolidate them, the system knows that, okay, instead of directly shipping both of those items individually, we're going to take it to the consolidation center, send it to the end customer, and we're going to go ahead and plan those. Something again to call out just for the last example, when I go ahead and hit this selected entries for all resources and you see that half moon, remember what I said earlier, that this is partially planned is what we call it. So that means that this is still able to be consolidated in the future. So if I select both now and I say, you know what, I want to go ahead and optimize this, it will do that calculation that we just saw and said, oh, you know what, it is actually cheaper to consolidate these still, even though we already planned this one technically, and it will create those two trucks like I mentioned. So that is the overview of how you can use this with many, many, many more orders and accurate pricing. So the pricing would actually be pulled in, let me click into a freight unit as well, on the service level that we have within the freight unit. And these can be pulled in from those parcel aggregators. So if I look at this direct shipment option, you can see that we have a service level of S1, and that's where the pricing is being pulled in right now. Realistically, you would be pulling in various service levels with updated pricing, and we can connect to that third-party parcel aggregator for that pricing to be accurate and do that comparison within, let's just say, a UPS and FedEx. So overall, the optimizer would run in the back end. I did this very manually, but it would make all of that decision making that you just saw me do automatically. And you would only have to come into this system to do a management by exception scenario if anything else came up. Once I saved this, then you could see that the freight documents have been actually created, generated, and the charges would be calculated. And then you could continue on with the execution of actually getting those goods from A to B or C or D, wherever it may need to be. So I hope that that all made sense. It was a very concise introduction to transportation management and zone skipping. I'm sure there might be some questions in the chat from that explanation. So Noor, can you please let me know if there are any questions that we can address at this time?
We actually have a couple of questions from the chat. The first
Perfect.
question they're asking, are there specific metrics or KPIs that businesses should track to measure the effectiveness of zone skipping and parcel consolidation?
Perfect. Yeah. So let me go back into our tiles, which I was saying earlier, and this might be a little bit still of an overview. There might be some terminology I use while explaining this that hopefully doesn't get lost in the trees for the forest. So let me give you an overview of the freight order execution monitoring and the cost analysis. These are standard analytic tiles. And with these two analytic tiles, again, this is taking just a second to load because of this being a demo system, but you can manage from a high 10,000 foot view some cost information and analytical information. So for example, you can see on-time performance with customers, you can see carrier on-time performance, you can see delayed freight orders, and actually when you click into this, you can manage them by here, or if you actually click on the delayed freight orders, it'll pull up a work list and you can manage those by exception if needed to get those 7 taken care of. You can also look at execution blocks, see which ones, if you click on this, it would take you to another screen. I'm not going to do that in this process because really what I want to talk to you about is using the other one for this scenario, it would more apply to use the cost analysis analytics. So I just wanted to say that we do have standard analytics within our system. And for this specific example, you'd use the cost analytics. But for many other purposes, the other analytics tab would also be helpful. We have 8 different standard analytics tiles. Since SAP is an embedded analytics system, these will all update as statuses change, right? So where the question I think was asking, and just make sure that I'm staying honest with what the question was, Nor, just that the cost and quality analysis, you can actually break it down by mode. So we can break it down by mode, but further than that, you can break it down by carrier, and you can also break it down by certain charge types. So we have charge types, basic rates, fuel percentage, and we have different organizations. So you can kind of set up the orders, and this is more of a configuration and architecture conversation, but you can set up the charge type, you can set up an order type, and you can even set the mode of transport to filter all of that information by within these standard analytics to get the information of how exactly your parcel orders are doing with the consolidation versus the direct shipment and how much it's costing you. So great question. Noor, you said that there were some other questions as well. What is the next question?
Yes. So the next question is, how do you see the role of AI and machine within the context of SAP transportation management and zone skipping in the future?
Perfect question. Actually, let me see if I can find it really quick. We actually, as Westernacher, just released an AI white paper. We'll have to try to link it later, but if you look up AI white paper Westernacher, it should be, here we go. I'll just pull this up for the group here really quickly. We just developed an artificial intelligence in transportation management AI white paper that you can download. It'll just ask for your email and then it'll send it to your email, or you can download it and just read it from there as well. So this talks about AI in transportation management specifically, and there are some technologies that SAP is developing with something called Joule that we think will really be helpful in transportation management in terms of like predictive and historical analysis with historical route analysis to see if the route that was chosen was actually the most cost efficient, even trend analysis of, throughout the year, this route seems to be better than this route. We think that SAP is going to be leaning really heavily into the transportation management system AI capability, using things like Joule to help with the optimization of routes and to do a lot of the analysis using some of the Internet of Things and global track and trace and a lot of the functionality that we have within SAP Transportation Management to basically try to optimize as best as possible using that information that I just mentioned with AI. So we're pretty excited about it. Feel free to download this or to reach out to me and I can give you some information specifically about AI. It's a whole nother topic, but there's definitely a lot of innovation coming into the transportation management space that we think will be able to utilize historical predictive analytics for route optimization, essentially, in a very nutshell way to say that. So, Nora, I hope that made sense. I hope that was a good answer. Please let me know if I can clarify anything, and if not, we can continue on to the next question.
We have the next question is, what industries or types of businesses are likely to see the most benefit from utilizing zone skipping and parcel consolidation?
Perfect. Yeah. For that, I would say retail would be a very good one. Manufacturing is a very good one. Basically, any parcel heavy volume business would benefit from this. We see a lot with machine parts, like sending replacement parts, that being very beneficial. And we see a lot with retail, whether it be clothing or just any items that are small enough to ship via parcel. But essentially anyone that uses and has a very heavy parcel volume would benefit from using zone skipping and direct shipment option comparisons. Yeah, great question. Yep, go ahead.
Yes. Can you talk a bit about the new CO2 tracking functionality?
Yes, great question. Let me see if I can pull up a example of that. So let me talk to it first, and then I will pull up an example. I have a previous example. I hope I have an order from it. Yep, it looks like we have plenty of orders for it. So SAP just came out with a code upgrade not too long ago that has carbon emission tracking included now within it. So we set up some configuration within our demo system, and we have an estimated carbon tracking functionality. So CO2 emissions is now on the freight order. And what you'll be able to do is get a calculated carbon emissions. And I can actually open this up a little bit from the customers. So we have a shipping point to customer 0, in this case, 53 to 55, whatever it may be. And this is all being calculated from distance, and then the estimated amount that you put in for your resource, right? So whether it be a truck, you can put in different CO2 estimations for different types of trucks or resources, whatever it may be. And then when the carrier actually submits at the end their CO2 emissions, you can have the reported CO2 emissions, and then we can use these two, estimated versus actual reported, as you can see the calculated versus reported, to do analytics within what you saw my embedded analytics at the beginning of these questions be, as well as you could use them within SAP. They have something called the Analytics Cloud, so SAC, and you could use these analytics to generate your own reports within the Analytics Cloud to pull some of that information and look at that carbon tracking as well. So this is very new functionality that SAP has made standard, and it's very exciting to see where they take this, especially being used by essentially AI, and how AI and carbon tracking can work together to lower carbon emissions as well. So great question. Yeah, very exciting with this actually. Any other questions, Nor?
Nope, that's it for today. Thank you
Perfect.
for the presentation, Matt. We appreciate your time and hope to work with you soon.
Yep. And I just want to
you.
say thank you everyone again. Again, my name is Matt Paulaitis. Feel free to reach out to me at this email with any digital supply chain questions in general, or if you want to learn more about SAP Transportation Management and how we can help address any bottlenecks, issues, or concerns that you may have. I am free day and night for texting, phone call, or email. So again, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for your participation within our webinar.
Thank you.